This program is about lawmaking. It's a snapshot portrait of the Kentucky Legislature. All it takes to start the process of lawmaking is for one person in this crowd maybe, to say, hey, there ought to be a law. At the beginning of the legislative session, the legislators gather in the House to hear the governor's ideas for new laws. But whether the idea comes from the governor or from any average citizen, the process is always the same. You take your idea to a lawmaker who's been elected to help you make it into a law. You'll have a lot of meetings trying to figure out exactly what you want the law to be.
This is their amendment, which we've got in the budget. It's just not in the bill.
Okay, so we already
I'll review it again with your all staff and everything to make sure we got everything right before I introduce it.
Right.
Look through this copy.
Okay.
Then you enlist the experts from the Legislative Research Commission who know how to write up a law.
Sections 14, 15, and 16 give the licensing people some more direction on how to improve compliance and what penalties.
You know, if they willingly do it, they're not going to do many penalties or anything.
Right.
Okay.
After it's written and all typed up, the lawmaker takes it over to the Senate if he's a senator, or to the House if he's a representative, to introduce it. It can start out in either place, but to become a law, it eventually has to pass both the House and the Senate. The representative tries to get some other representatives to sign on as sponsors of the bill because this helps him rally support.
Hi. This is an early childhood development bill. You said you wanted to co-sponsor with me?
Oh, yeah.
Here. That's one reason I agreed to sponsor this thing. You want to co-sponsor my early childhood development bill?
What is that?
That's dealing with these children starting from the time they're conceived till they're 5 years old.
Let me think about it and look at it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
After the lawmaker introduces the bill, it's assigned to a committee. The House and Senate have about 15 committees each. The committee is a place where experts and average citizens can come and explain to the legislators what they think is good and bad about a bill.
The final question, was there any consideration given to a tax deductibility for child care in the state of Kentucky?
It just didn't rise to the top as a priority for...
People disagree. That's the point, to hear all sides.
That is a priority.
Did you ask me to increase funding for that program in this year's budget?
Yes.
You did not, sir. Again,
But I understand all
in
the
preparation of this budget,
Yes.
I'm not aware of you asking us to look at this subject.
The legislators listen, then have to decide if the bill has merit. If they don't like it, it can die right there. And it's all over for your bill until the next session. So at every stage, citizens try to grab the legislators in the hall and argue their case for or against a bill.
Awareness or expertise in that knowledge.
I intend to fight for everything that's in the bill right now.
Some people pay other people to lobby for them. There are seminars at the beginning of the session which present the rules to lobbyists.
My job this morning is to try to give you just a few tips and pointers about what you need to do to be an effective lobbyist. So the first thing is you need to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You need to tell both sides of the issue. Your side, the other guy's side.
What is this bill?
His bill is the one that would stop the cabinet from writing regulations. Here it is. And so it would eliminate the setbacks and integrator liability. It says the cabinet can't write any
I really haven't
regulations
decided about this.
that are...
I don't know about this.
If the committee votes for the bill, it passes out of the House committee and goes to the floor of the House. Now it's time for the lawmaker to strategize. He makes a plan for the introduction to all the members of the House that he hopes will convince them to vote for it.
I'm just going to do a rough overview of the bill and then yield as we go down the line section by section. I'll yield to Steve.
The House will come to order. Members, please take their seats.
Finally, your bill is up for a vote.
Mr. Speaker, I move, sir, that House Bill 706 be taken its place orders today, but third time its title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage.
Motion made and seconded. House Bill 706 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title and sponsor only, and placed upon its passage. Without objection, so ordered. Folks, this is an important piece of legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I served on the Governor's Early Childhood Task Force along with 24 individuals representing business, education, government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
As planned, 6 more people speak for the bill. Then the lawmaker has to defend it.
I'm asking you what happens
when this tobacco trust fund quits.
Where do we go from there? This is my opinion, Mr. Speaker, that I believe the people of Kentucky will step up because...
The debate goes on and on into the evening.
Recognizes lady from Clay 90.
This is a good bill. Let's just go ahead and vote on this thing and get out of here.
The gentleman from Jefferson.
Move for passage, Mr. Speaker.
Motion made and seconded for the adoption of House Bill 706. Any ready for the vote? Clerk, sound the chimes. Does any member wish to change or explain his or her vote? Roll call machine showing House Bill 706 is adopted.
Okay, so now your bill's passed the House. Now you have to start all over again in the Senate. Same thing. It goes to the floor of the Senate. The Senate assigns it to a committee. The committee votes for it. It goes back to the Senate floor for discussion and vote. At any stage, your bill can die because members vote against it or because the leadership doesn't even call it for a vote. Important note. The party that has the most members gets to choose the leadership of that House and the head of every single committee. And whoever controls those positions decides when and if the bill will be called. If you think this is all very complicated, remember that the Founding Fathers made it that way on purpose. Complexity creates lots of opportunities for input and keeps the process from being dominated by one faction. Sometimes it gets so complex, even the leaders have to interrupt the session and look up in their little rule books what to do next.
Matter before the body is the adoption of House Bill 706 with Floor Amendment 1.
Amendments. Mustn't forget amendments. In the committee or on the floor, a lawmaker may decide to add a new idea to the bill as an amendment. Sometimes an amendment can transform the original bill.
Mr. President, with this floor amendment on the bill, I'd have to vote no.
So the bill can't become law with a new idea attached until it goes back to the originating House for approval. If approved, it goes to the governor for signature and then becomes law. Time to celebrate. But if that bill with the amendment attached isn't approved, then it goes into conference committee. That committee is made up of some lawmakers from the Senate and some from the House. This is where they sit down at a table, roll up their sleeves, and argue it out until they can agree on a final bill. Who gets chosen to be on the conference committee can be crucial. Oh, one more thing? Not a little thing either. The governor can veto your bill. But if the governor vetoes it, you can still go back to the legislature, and if you gather enough votes, you can get them to overturn the veto. During a session, as many as 1,000 bills can be introduced. Too many to absorb, much less vote on. By the end of the 12-week session, there's a crunch. It's dramatic. The Capitol during the legislative session is an exciting place. If you go there, you'll find they're passing bills all around you that would affect what you eat and drink, the air you breathe, your access to medical care, and your wallet every time you spend a dime. We followed 3 bills through one legislative session. Some people thought it was unfair that insurance companies paid back so little for mental health, so they submitted a bill to fix that. There was a bill concerning how much the state could regulate you if you had 100,000 chickens. The governor wanted to spend more on safeguarding and educating kids under 5. Molly Klaus arrives at the Capitol with a busload of lobbyists who have come to support a mental health bill.
Kind of run through your story again. Now, you were not able to get the
Right, there were 2 times that my benefits were cut off when I was in the hospital, and rather than having my doctor say I was ready to go home, my insurance company said I was, and I wound up back in the hospital.
And what was that? I forget. Is it
bipolar?
Bipolar.
Representative Bob Damron proposes a bill that would require insurance companies to insure mental health treatment in the same way they insure physical health.
Well, we're about halfway home.
The mental health bill has passed the Democratic House and now goes to the Republican Senate. The Senate leaders send it to a committee for debate. And this is the day that committee will debate it. And these citizen lobbyists have arrived to demonstrate support for the bill. However, the meeting has been canceled.
It's got 2 hurdles. It's still got to clear the Senate Health and Welfare Committee, and then it still has to clear the Senate floor.
Grassroots efforts or what it takes to pass legislation down here.
Why I think they felt that I was good for this testimony was that if I had not been sent away from the hospital the second time, that I would have been able to be healthy again and able to continue working that fall. When the insurance company kicked me out the third time, I was still in a really bad place.
I don't think I'll ever forget the look on her face when she came to me at Baptist East and said, "Molly, your insurance ran out and you can't be here anymore." I panicked. I totally broke down. I wasn't expecting it. Plus, I wasn't ready. So, get the word out. I'm glad to be here.
My career fell apart and my life fell apart, and I just felt like I didn't have anything else to lose. So why not go to Frankfurt and tell my story and see if it could do some good. And it was a pretty exciting time.
After the rally, the advocates, always dressed in red, fan out through the Senate office building to lobby for the bill.
I committed long ago to vote for the bill. If you get it where I can vote on it, I'll vote on it, no problem.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yes, sir. We appreciate you.
We're just spreading mental health everywhere.
We could use some, thank you.
Senator Julie Rose was the head of the Appropriations Committee, and we couldn't get it out of that committee. She would not call it.
Because there's a crunch at the end of the session, committee chairmen rarely call a bill unless it has a good chance of passing. With concerted effort, little by little, they pick up votes. And so Senator Rose does finally call it.
Would you like to come forward, please? So I was forced to resign my job and go on disability retirement through Kentucky Teachers Retirement System.
But you have to then choose, am I going to offer any mental health benefits or am I going to offer none at all? I mean, that's the offering that we will have out there in the marketplace if this bill passes.
From what you're telling me, we may not be helping the most Kentuckians with legislation like this.
An employer has the option of not providing mental health coverage if they don't want to.
Then, finally, after much debate and opposition...
Thank you very much. The motion passes.
Thank you, sir.
It was sort of touch and go there for a little while. And it really means so much to those of us who have a mental illness that we are being heard.
But their triumph is short-lived.
One of the issues I'd like for you to explain to us, it has to deal with mental health. This bill has passed the House, and it has even passed the committee here in the Senate. It's awaiting treatment on the Senate floor. The majority leadership refuses to put it on for a vote for the full body of the Senate.
We have to be very careful when we're dealing with the issue of insurance because we are in a collapsing market because of...
But the lobbyists haven't given up.
But I would like to come and see you about House Bill 268. May I do that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
The legislature now goes on a 2-week recess. The mental health bill still hasn't been called. The outlook is bleak because the Assembly comes back for only 2 days, then adjourns for 9 months. And those last 2 days are usually consumed with conference committees and tidying up. However...
So last Monday, I literally gave myself a pep talk, screwed up my courage, and I called Senator Kelly at his law practice down in Springfield, and I said, Senator Kelly, time is running out, and we need to talk to you about the status of the parity bill. He agreed to see us for 10 minutes, and he listened to us for about 35 or 40 minutes.
Though Kelly seemed impressed with their arguments, they've arrived this last and final day not knowing if their bill will be called.
Well, and we've been...
They wait outside the Senate, hoping to see Kelly.
Good morning, Senator Williams. Fine, thank you.
Their greatest fear? That the insurance lobby has gotten to Kelly since their meeting.
Good morning, Senator Borders.
Hi, Molly.
Look who's got his red tie on.
Will you give me permission to read some of the parts of your correspondence with me today on the floor?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Cannot thank you enough.
Well, I can't thank you enough for
getting me educated. Who was that?
That's Senator Kelly.
That was Kelly.
That was Kelly with his red tie that
See it on the-
Molly sent him. You aren't excited, are you?
I'm stunned. I mean, I just...
Good to see you.
just need one more vote, right? All we have to have is his vote. Assuming that everybody is here today.
You see where his desk is, second row right there.
The last email message that I had received was from a young lady who has been an advocate for this bill, who has late in her life suffered from mental illness. So I turned on the message and took a look at it, and she had become cynical. She did not think that we took action based on what was fair or right, but what was safe and politically correct. Well, my first inclination was to hit the delete key. It was late, I was tired, she wasn't in my district, she couldn't vote for me. But there was enough emotion expressed in the letter, I thought that it deserved a response. So we had the meeting, and at that meeting they were able to explain things that I think are important to the members of the body.
Armed with information the lobbyist gave him, Kelly makes several convincing arguments.
If there's no further questions, I would move for final passage of House Bill 268.
Matter before the body is the passage of House Bill 268. All in favor of 268 vote aye, all opposed vote no. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Adams. Senator Bailey.
Senator Herrick. Senator Jackson. Senator Johnson. Senator Karam. Senator Kelly. Senator Kerr. Senator Leeper. Senator Long.
There are 33 ayes and 0 nays. House Bill 268 is passed.
You know, I didn't really have time to think about it until we got the action on the insurance bill, and then your request to meet and discuss it was the first time I really had to focus on it and think about it.
And that's what strikes me so about this whole process that I've never known before, is how overwhelmed y'all are.
Yeah, if it hadn't been for your message, I would probably not have responded to your request.
What did I say to you coming up here? I said, Molly, you don't understand how crucial you've been. I said, Senator Kelly would have been very nice, but he would have been very firm, and he would not have met with me. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
These chickens belong to a billion-dollar corporation headquartered in Maryland, Purdue Chicken. But this Kentucky chicken house they are raised in belongs to Nancy Butler.
We open the doors and the semi-trucks are parked out here, and they pick up the chickens and put them in the crates and set them on the truck, and they take them off to the processing plant. So if you buy a Purdue chicken in the grocery store, this is where it starts.
There are 8 chicken houses up here on the hill. There are 8 right beside of me. There are 8 just on the other side of these. So that makes 24. My son, when he comes out here and plays basketball, where he'll stay out here and he'll play, you have to take him straight in there, put him in the tub because he smells like chicken manure. When it's really bad, you would want to be throwing up. The smell is that bad.
I don't understand a problem with poultry farming other than my neighbors are all farmers. They expect and accept smell, and if smell is the issue.
With the demise of tobacco, Kentucky's farmers are in trouble. One solution is confined animal farming. These operations can pollute the countryside, so Kentucky's environmental cabinet proposes regulations. In the new session of the Kentucky Legislature, Representative Roger Thomas submits a bill which would soften those cabinet regulations. Farm Bureau lobbyist Rebecca Freeman helps him to fight to pass this bill. They fear the regulations will drive the corporate chicken industry from Kentucky.
We firmly believe and have been told point blank by the folks that do business in and outside of the state, and we will cease to do business in Kentucky. We will go elsewhere. Agriculture is the cash cow of the state. A lot of people don't know that, but it is, and we want it to continue to be.
Here's a copy of the bill that Roger Thomas filed yesterday. It's House Bill 940.
Suzanne Walters, a lobbyist for a nonprofit farmers group, tries to block this legislation, believing it favors large corporations. After the Farm Bill was introduced in the House, it was assigned to the Agriculture Committee for hearings. For weeks, Walters and members of her grassroots farmers group have been preparing for this Agriculture Committee meeting, their first big hurdle. They coach a witness who will speak in favor of regulations today.
It's good.
Got it down.
And so you just need to remember to say, you know, I'm Billy Holman, I'm with Community Farm Alliance, I'm from Allen County.
And I'm going to be brief, to the point, get our point across, and hope that I can put just a word that'll stick with the legislators.
Right. If the hearing starts at 12, by 11:30, we have to have testimony.
My primary objective is to get their attention that all of this is, the corporate farming is coming in. I mean, we've got that coming. There ain't no way around it. And I'm not knocking it that much. I'm just wanting them to be in perspective to where they don't come in and ruin my home and my neighbors' homes and our community and waste our tax dollars.
That's simple, clear. So this is an outline. What you just said isn't quite in here. And what, so you've got it in your mind. Maybe you better get over there and see if you can get clarity with Thomas on getting to testify today and setting it up so our folks go first and all that.
This job is not a job that you go to work from 9 to 5 on. This is a 24/7 job. My life's work now is lobbying here in Frankfort and trying to fight for the social change that I think everybody deserves.
The Farm Bill hearing gets underway. This will be Billy Holman's first appearance before a legislative committee.
We have a very full agenda today, and it's going to require the maximum amount of time that we're allotted.
Today, the bill will be debated by those who want large corporate farms to be regulated versus those who want minimum regulation.
The legislation tried to allot 5 minutes. If you would identify yourself and proceed.
The Cabinet's regulations require that the chicken house be set back away from neighbors. They also require the corporation or integrator to share responsibility with the chicken grower in case of environmental disaster. The bill cuts back on the regulations. Here's one thing that worries them. In other states, rivers have flooded into factory farms sweeping the animal waste dumps into the river, producing environmental disasters. Sometimes the taxpayer had to pay for cleanup.
I do a little farming, work in public work, but this House bill that's coming up is kind of gets next to me because I want to see the integrator clause left in there. And
Billy's remarks run long. Others are waiting to speak. So they plan another hearing to complete the testimony.
I would allow another 10 minutes of discussion on the opponent's side. Okay. Is that acceptable?
Yes. Okay, so you'll give us 10 minutes, Cinda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I don't want to keep the committee members here half the night discussing this, and you know.
What these bills would support is not free enterprise. It is not justice to farmers. It is not prosperity in rural Kentucky. It is not stewardship of our land and water. It is not humane treatment of animals. It is not the best way to produce food. These corporations now ask to be relieved of any mandated public liability or responsibility for their activities here. By their request for special exemptions, they acknowledge the great risks and dangers that are in fact involved in their way of doing business.
Before we begin with questions, I would ask the sponsor of the bill if you want to respond.
Yes, I was particularly taken with the gentleman who said that it was like having an industrial park next door to you. Well, I wouldn't want an industrial park next door to me either. Let's just legislate that we have no more industrial parks. I go right back to this integrator liability. If you don't want chicken houses, let's have a vote on eliminating large chicken operations. Of course, you got $1 billion business there. Don't do something that will do major damage to this industry unless you want to get rid of the industry. If you want to get rid of the industry, come on out and say so and we'll discuss it. I'll shut up.
Monday at 2 in room 131, and we will proceed with some more discussion, but we will vote on the bill Monday.
If consumers start saying we're willing to pay what it costs to buy exclusively free-range chickens, exclusively free-range hogs or beef, then I guarantee the farmers will do everything possible to meet that demand. That's not what the people want. They want 99-cent Wendy's chicken sandwiches. And I'm not making a value judgment about whether that's the right or wrong decision on the part of the consumer.
Representative Turner, Representative Upchurch.
Yes. Bill passes with favorable expression.
The bill has passed the Agriculture Committee and should now go to the floor of the House for a vote. The question is, will the leadership of the House, Jody Richards, and Greg Stumbo, permit the bill to be called to the House floor for a vote? So Freeman has two tasks: to get the House to call the bill to the floor for a vote, and if they call it, to get them to pass it. She works with her more experienced colleague from the Farm Bureau, Sam Crawford.
Okay, here's the list. Now, who are my definite no's other than the ones I have? Mark them with an X. I'm not going to waste my time on it.
What about John Adams?
I don't know.
We'd put him in there as a yes. I tell you what I was thinking is that if we could get about 60 people that we want to make sure and see, and as we get no's, we'll try to think of somebody to take their place to go see. I mean, that was...
Sounds like a good plan.
Lobbyists wait to talk to legislators as they walk to the Capitol building.
How are you? Hi, Tom. How you doing? Good to see you all.
I mean, it'll be interesting now whether we'll get on the floor, and it'll be interesting whether we can win on the floor. We'll have...
But that's okay. I mean, that's at least on the merits.
We could just get it in the process on the floor and let it be considered. We'll obviously
Of course, from my standpoint, I've already got some ink and this and that.
Sure.
So from my standpoint, hey, who cares? But I do care because I think it's right. I don't want to get on the floor and lose, and I don't think we would. So I will speak to Greg again, and if I leave with the impression that it is dead, I'll be sure and get back to you immediately.
We would appreciate
but
that.
I don't feel that way at this point.
Either.
We don't either.
Maybe the governor's chief of staff can help them get the bill to the floor of the House for a vote.
I don't know if this will help you at all, but we've been handing this out to folks. It's just a comparison of the two.
Tell me what Bickford does from this point on.
He recommends they set up a meeting with Jody Richards, Speaker of the House. They seek the help of Roger Thomas to do this.
Could you arrange a meeting, and if anybody can bring Jody, it looks like to me you could do it.
I'd be glad to do it. I don't know what his schedule's like, but I'll check with him and see if there's any way. And you want the three of us and Jody?
That's what we were just thinking, because we just...
What about Cherry? We need to include him.
That'd be fine.
The day ends, and Freeman still hasn't been able to arrange the meeting she wanted. She waits for legislators to return from the evening session at the Capitol. Representative Cherry breaks the news to her.
I'm not optimistic now.
Okay.
I was.
Okay.
I talked to Skipper, and I re-talked to Richards, the speaker, re-talked to Stumbo.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out the House leadership has sent the bill to another House committee for debate.
Indication of what changed them or what we can do to...
Once the bill did go into A&R into that committee, there was initially a big feeling of relief because I had the overall general feeling that this bill would die in that committee.
We've dealt with the issue of trying to balance the needs of agriculture to use modern production methods and the desire of other citizens to live in the countryside in relative peace. We've worked with the House Democrat leadership. They likewise supported our program to strike a balance, and the Farm Bureau was promoting a program that we felt was a little bit favorable towards the producer, the large producer of animals, and not particularly friendly or sensitive to the needs of the other citizens that lived in the immediate vicinity.
So if the House has sent the bill off to a dead end, the bill's sponsors will try the Senate. However, it's too late in the session to introduce a bill in the Senate. They'll have to attach their entire bill as an amendment to a bill that's already waiting for a vote in the Senate. In doing so, they skip over the committee debate altogether.
You know, we talked about having to do this. And I think to get it on there for a vote.
Let me think about tonight who'd be the best person to offer the amendment.
Okay.
I know this is depressing for you.
It's depressing for me, for you. Oh, God, they're...
It was a good, solid bill for agriculture in Kentucky that respected the environment but didn't respond to the emotionalism. And when it became clear that the leadership in the House were not going to post it for action, we felt it like the Senate needed to make a statement. So as in a number of areas, we found an agricultural bill, and we put that amendment on so that the Senate could make its statement that we strongly endorse protecting our farm interests and their ability to sell their products.
I think we got you motivated to do business today.
I think y'all have got me terrified is what you've got me. I'm operating on sheer edge of the cliff fear.
So, since her farm bill was blocked in the House, Rebecca Freeman has now succeeded in attaching her Bill 940 as an amendment to a Senate bill. Republican Senator Dan Kelly supports this, but they've told Freeman she has to secure votes from Democrats to push the bill through. For this, she goes to see Democrat Senator Pendleton.
Do you think if we could do something with CAFOs in the Senate, we could get 10 Democrats?
I don't think we'll have a problem. Get me exact language that you got now.
It's going to be a kinder, gentler version of what 940.
Because the best thing we can do is just lay low, be quiet, and then hit it on the floor and then get it out of there and it's over with.
And then, it might go to conference, but that's fine.
Has the House voted on it yet?
Governor killed it. So we're going to try to do something amendment-wise.
Is Senator Kelly going to put it on?
He said we were rolling with it. He said, you let me know you've got 10 Democrats, we're rolling.
Okay, all right. Get me a copy of the amendment. And a copy of the bill.
As soon as I get one, I will.
And we'll...
I might have a copy of the bill on me right now. I can tell you basically what it does.
What the bill says.
And the cabinet has no clue we're doing this. Nobody has any clue we're doing this. We haven't even told our people we're doing this.
Dan's got... feels like he's got 10 over there.
Oh, yeah, he says he feels real good about it.
Then we'll, I'm sure I can bring 10 from my side.
Well, I was going to tell him. Okay,
right.
I'll get this ready for you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Suzanne Walters and the Community Farm Alliance find out too late that they're doing this.
They took House Bill 665 and they attached a Senate amendment to it that would take away the setbacks and take away the integrator liability, thus eventually leaving the farmer open to all environmental damage and opening the state up for poultry and hog industry.
In the caucus, Borders told us they set the vote for today.
That's you. You got to work this weekend.
Is that what you understand?
Yes, the vote is set. He said they discussed it in caucus, and it is set for today.
What Floor Amendment 1 does is clearly define the level of regulation that can exist without putting our swine, poultry, dairy, and beef cattle producers at an economic and market disadvantage.
We just found out this morning about the Floor Amendment and what we would like to do. Well, we'd like to see the vote put off till Monday so we could have a chance, to talk to senators.
Who's carrying the bill?
One of the most controversial areas is how close will we allow these operations to boundaries or to other uses. And this regulation will make sure that we don't overregulate and put them out of business. If there's no further questions, I move for adoption of Floor Amendment 1.
Matter before the body is the adoption of Floor Amendment 1. All in favor, vote aye. Aye. All opposed? No. The ayes have it. Floor Amendment 1 passes.
And then the bill itself passes. Walters studies the roll call list of how senators voted.
When I went to the Senate clerk and got the list of who voted and how, that would give me an idea who was for us and who was against us, who I needed to lobby the hardest with.
Bert, Kara, I talked to him.
Shoot, this has been some interesting on-the-job training.
There's nothing they can teach you.
No. It's been great, though. There's something about it I love.
There are 5 days left in the session. The Farm Bill could now go back to the House floor for a vote. Walters, back at her office, works the phones trying to prevent
Of course,
this.
Pat, at this point, I'm lucky if I can say my own name.
There's the count on it with the amendment, and here's what it looked like. The biggest challenge right now is just getting it called.
But in here,
No, you're not letting in.
I ran
Have a
into,
seat.
I just ran into Dan Kelly downstairs. I said, we're gonna try to get it called off the board. That's the next step, is we've got to get, we need some help some kind of way, and I'm gonna ask him to, I mean, he needs to talk to leadership too about something they need.
Yeah.
It's the best plan that I know, but
I don't know what, short of trading, I don't know what you do to get him to call it.
at least call it for a vote. That's all we're asking on both ends. I mean,
So what do they have that's important to Greg?
well, I think if Dan Kelly just goes and says, are you gonna call it or not, and here's something I'll do for you.
Yeah.
We just need to find that something for, or help Dan Kelly find that something. He may know of something.
Sam, I don't know. I don't know.
How big is early childhood development for them? Yeah, our drought is much improved.
Much improved where it was. Right.
Quite frankly, I'm a little disappointed, I'll be honest with you, because I don't think that was the right way to do it. And
Well, I understand, or we understand, and
You all came and told me, and I appreciate that. And
there'll be other things down the road.
well, I hope so. After really analyzing and thinking about it, I just kind of felt like that whoever bill that got put on, you're gonna kill that bill.
I mean, they killed our bill by just sending it off into space twice.
Yeah, part of the process.
Part of the process.
Yeah, which again isn't a fun thing to have happen.
Yeah.
So
No.
yeah, it's
So
just
what I
not
would,
fun all the way around.
Kentucky is woefully behind the rest of the nation in early childhood development.
Dennis, this is Kim Townley with the Governor's Office of Early Childhood Development. I was calling to see if we might get you on a panel to testify before the House Health and Welfare Committee next Tuesday.
Dr. Townley is a nationally known early childhood expert. She was a professor until last year when the governor tapped her to head up his early childhood task force. New to the rough and tumble of politics, Townley seeks advice from her crucial ally, the governor's cabinet secretary, before the first committee meeting.
Kim, go ahead and...
The governor has agreed, as you know, to speak. And so what we were thinking is if we could get some of the unusual suspects.
And I wouldn't rule out Kim bringing in one of the foremost national experts we can get our hands on. And don't let them know we're planning to do that in advance, because they'll arrange some refutation in advance.
I am getting ready to go into the committee meeting where we're going to testify. All righty, wish me luck, because I'm scared to death.
Nikki Patton, the governor's daughter, is also an expert in this field and sparked the governor's interest in this legislation. For 1 year, she and Dr. Townley researched and wrote the bill. The governor proposes $56 million from the tobacco settlement paid to the states to fund it.
And we're very pleased to have the governor here today.
Over these last 4 years, we made tremendous progress.
At the committee meeting, the governor describes how the bill would enhance quality of child care centers, provide money for more child care, create educational programs for parents and health professionals, provide free sight and hearing exams for babies. Then Nikki Patton facilitates the rest of the presentation, including the testimony of 6 witnesses. There isn't time for questions, so it spills over into a second committee meeting.
You know who we're helping. Hi, John. Need your help today now.
You got it. You got it on this. You know that.
The feeling was that with conservative legislators, that if the state is deciding what the improving health and what is of an expectant mother.
Birch works the crowd and tries to discourage amendments.
You're not going to offer them amendments you got, are you?
Which ones?
Them two. Why did you tell me you was going to do something like that?
They're going to be 4 minutes.
I'm going to help you, Rob.
I'm not real enthused about it, and I don't think it's going to do anything to help. It's dead in the Senate the way it is right now.
They're not going to kill this bill over there. They should be wanting this bill.
We in the early childhood field were delighted to know that the governor was going to establish an Office of Early Childhood Development. The announcement came across my desk, and I said, well, I'm sure somebody would like to have that job, and I threw it in the trash because I knew it wasn't me who would take a job like that would have 1,000 people pulling at you.
But she did decide to take the job, and now she's in the hot seat. The committee has a lot of questions.
Final question, was there any consideration given to a tax deductibility for child care in the state of Kentucky?
No. It just didn't rise to the top as a priority for this particular session.
Well, see, in my district, that is a priority.
The bill finally passes the committee unanimously.
Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Amendment's adopted.
Next, it goes to the floor of the House.
Folks, this is an important piece of legislation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I served on the Governor's Early Childhood Task Force along with 24 individuals representing business.
The debate goes on and on into the evening.
Chair recognizes lady from Clay 90.
This is a good bill. Let's just go ahead and vote on this thing and get out of here.
Gentleman from Jefferson.
Move for passage, Mr. Speaker.
Motion made and seconded for the adoption of House Bill 706. Any ready for the vote? Clerk, sound the chimes. Does any member wish to change or explain his or her vote? Roll call machine showing House Bill 706 is adopted. Gentleman from Jefferson.
After the House vote, the bill goes to the Senate, where it's assigned to a Senate committee for debate.
After the vote in the House, a 95-0 vote, and it was going over to the Senate, we did have a meeting with the Senate Republicans.
Do you know Senator Kelly?
No, I have not had the pleasure.
This is Kim Townley.
I'm Kim Townley. Glad to meet you, Senator Kelly. We're glad to have the opportunity to brief you this morning.
We didn't adopt the view that since there had been so much research and work by this task force that we just had to accept it carte blanche. We felt we had a really important public policy role to play as a legislator to analyze what the task force presented and to make the final decision on just what was the proper policy response to their work. And really we found a lot of weaknesses in the proposal that the task force was making.
After we met with the Senate Republicans and they had given us their concerns and their interests where they would like to see the bill changed, we came up with our responses where we might accommodate their requests.
Nikki Patton greets her father before one of the many meetings the team will have to engineer the bill's passage through the legislature.
Early childhood bears.
Here we are. The early childhood bill is a key element of the governor's overall education legacy. But they need Republican votes to pass it, so they must decide today how to include Senate Republican suggestions. First issue, health care for expectant mothers.
This is our summary. We've addressed some of their concerns and some of their issues. We've been able to cost some of them out.
Folic acid, you're saying that we would, increase that to 500,000?
Correct. They said that folic acid wasn't enough, that we needed to address fetal alcohol syndrome, smoking cessation. We would have a large public awareness education campaign that would bring all of these various people to the table.
And I think didn't they also talk about, like in the high schools with the childbearing age, which I thought was probably a good suggestion. So
we talked about
that's one we ought to be able to work with them on.
They certainly want to feel like they've had an influence and can put their thumbprint on this. Where is it?
The key people have gathered here, and point by point they work through a response plan to give to the Republicans. This also happens to be the day the important tax bill will be voted on in the House, and the governor is distracted by the closed-circuit TV which relays the debate from the House floor.
The only two things you're saying with the change that they've suggested are I was just saying he hadn't had time to focus on this because he's so distracted. It's going to be helpful if Kim can just quickly go to the things we can agree to.
We already have this money, this amount of money going into reading, so we're sitting at the feet.
I'm getting giddy. I really am.
I'm brain dead. So.
I am too.
So anyway, we're saying, and that isn't all of it.
Change or explain it,
Yeah, you go close real fast.
Machine showing 57 members voting
Yes.
aye,
Whoa.
39 members voting nay. House Bill nay.
Yeah, we knew it all along. Piece of cake. Never thought we'd do that.
Senate Democrats attend an early childhood presentation at the governor's mansion. While trying to win support of the Senate Republicans, the early childhood advocates must line up the Senate Democrats too.
But we did want to have Nikki go over the lime green sheet that you have. that talks about some of the critical components that we've been hearing as well as you have been hearing about the opposition to the program as it now exists.
And so what I like to do, and I'm not even going to read the green sheets, but just to explain what we've got. The voluntary home visitation program seems to be the thing that is most sticking in folks' craw. Kim and I are going to tell you it's a really useful program.
We could spend 100% of the tobacco money on early childhood. We could spend 100% of it on the rural economy. We could spend 100% of it on health care. I think that 25 is a fair and reasonable number, with 25% on health care and 50% on agriculture. And I'm talking about 25% based on early childhood programs. Well, we did have a very, very long discussion about the subject, and without going into detail, we managed to get all 18 Democratic senators publicly committed among themselves that they would support the governor on every aspect of this issue. And that was not a particularly easy thing to do.
Having secured a promise from the Democrats, they must continue to negotiate with the Republicans over changes.
In my calendar, and I will call you.
9 days before the end of the session, on her way to the last negotiations before the Senate committee meeting, Townley is unaware that the Republicans are about to present their own early childhood bill.
And our proposal deals with those years from newborn babies up through 5 and 6 years old. And their proposal shifted all the funding into those later years. It was at that point the meeting began to deteriorate.
We asked them if they were going to have a whole new bill, and they said no, they would have a committee substitute, which it's too late to introduce a bill. However, it is a totally different focus than we have.
Townley meets with Senate Democrats to outline the changes the Republicans have proposed.
Go down this sheet right
I'll be
here.
glad.
I want to know what's in and what's out.
Okay, this is ours.
This is the governor, so.
Access to subsidy is gone. Quality rating system is gone. Scholarship for child care providers is gone.
So they're taking out the oversight.
Yeah, that blows my mind. That's what I'm sitting here thinking, the accountability side of it.
Totally.
Anything that has to do with setting standards and regulating those standards is gone.
Now let me say something.
We're going to have fun on this one, I can see.
Basically, our strategy was, let's expand the effort to allow local communities to meet and determine what in their community they felt was needed, and then allow them to pick and choose between the intervention program where the social worker went into the home, or more funding for child care, or improved funding for education of potential parents, or any mix of that community felt was the appropriate way to go. And our view was, the more community input you had into the strategies, the more likely you would have some success.
In my mind, there are three big differences in what
The team meets in the governor's office to plan their strategy for the Senate committee meeting.
we focused on prevention. They're focusing on remedial kinds of programs. We focus on birth to 3 because that's where we identified the biggest gap to be. They focus heavily on older children. Then we focused heavily on child care access and quality, and they eliminate that area altogether.
And the only thing I can say, it's personal. They've taken the governor's #1 priorities, and they've deliberately said we're going to deprive the governor of his #1 priorities. Pure politics, and supposedly we've got enough votes to prevail. Now we'll find out.
The Republican-controlled committee could vote to send the Republican version of the early childhood bill to the Senate floor, and not the governor's version. Some version has to be voted out today. There are only 5 days left in the session. It's the crunch.
What we're going to call to the agenda first is House Bill 706. Just wanted to make an announcement that there had been a committee substitute filed to House Bill 706, but that we have a commitment from leadership, because the members haven't had ample time to review the committee substitute, that we will either vote on the committee substitute or House Bill 706 this afternoon upon adjournment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, may I respond?
Now, Governor Patton.
Senator Kelly, we do have a fundamental difference because I believe that where Kentucky is grossly inadequate in its investment in children is in the preschool area. And Senator, with all due respect, the first place that you all wanted to divert money to was the Family Resource Centers.
That's correct.
And so we were responsive to that need, and we found money to fully fund the resource centers.
We appreciate that,
to increase it. So then when we solved that need, you look for another place to spend the money. And Senator, with all due respect, it appears to me that what you were looking for was some way that you could take the money away from early childhood and invest it someplace else. And when you tried one and we solved that problem, you tried another. So, sir, we have serious differences.
The committee meeting ends without a vote. The Republican majority promises to vote later in the day. The Republicans could kill the bill just by failing to call it for a vote today.
What we understand from the research you've shown us is that what happens between 1 to 3 does not really affect that population, that 20%, 20,000 kids in Kentucky. Now wait a minute, it might marginally affect it. But the kids that come into this program, there's something in the development of their brain and the way they learn.
Into that younger population is the money to bring down a man.
That's a good argument. I don't want to use percentages of where income should go. I want to talk about programs that were essential in their work.
To do his 4-year-old program and our quality program, right?
That's right. They're not
Pretty far apart. So
Intend to have a come out of the committee. I think their concern was it would be our bill that would come out of the committee, and we basically had the votes to do that, or his bill to come out of the committee.
It's a tense time for the task force as they wait for the committee to meet again. If the committee doesn't call some version today, the bill sponsors will have to wait 9 months for the next General Assembly. The Senate goes into session. The A&R committee won't meet until the Senate adjourns, which promises to be late evening. When Townley and her colleagues see on their closed-circuit TV that the Senate is taking a recess, they decide to go and get ice cream.
For those, we have to go to Mike's, but if you want the soft serve, fat-free yogurt.
ice cream.
What they don't know is that the A&R committee, instead of waiting to meet on adjournment at the end of the day, as they had announced, meets during the Senate recess and passes the governor's original bill, intact and unamended, out of committee and onto the Senate floor.
The following Senate committees have met and reported. Appropriations and Revenue, House Bill 706 should pass.
I congratulate you because it passed unanimously. Excuse me?
What?
Well, wow, we missed it all.
An act relating to early childhood development
It's on the floor right now.
should pass to consent.
We missed it.
Oh,
It passed unanimously.
when did they meet?
During that session. They're just introducing it, putting it on the consent calendar now, first reading.
I want to see it so bad.
Passed unanimously.
What are you talking about?
We missed it.
Hello?
When did they
do it? Well, they didn't say they were going to do it at recess.
Unanimously. What was the amendment?
It's supposed to be.
To see you. Well, congratulations. Fun, fun, fun. Thanks, bye. Thanks. All right. We missed it.
I think we all missed it. That's great.
Right after that committee meeting, I went down and talked to the governor. And it was clear at that point that he was very angry.
Senate Republican leadership requested a meeting with the governor and CRET, and they met with them to see what kind of agreement they could come to.
They emphasized that they did not want a political conflict and that they would be willing to work with us to try to get a program devoted to early childhood.
And Senator Kelly has a very strong personal interest in the early reading program. If he could find some additional dollars for that program elsewhere, that they thought they could get back together with us and come very close to supporting our original package.
And we had the commitment that we would focus through other budgetary initiatives on that early literacy intervention that we felt was so key to the whole concept of early childhood development.
The bill passes the Senate.
There are 38 yeas, no nays. House Bill 706 with Floor Amendment 1 passes.
Then goes back to the House, which has to approve the Senate amendment.
Motions on the passage of House Bill 706 is amended and Senate concurred in by the House. Have all members voted?
So the Mental Health Insurance Parity Bill and Early Childhood Bill became law. The Farm Bill was never called for a vote in the House and died. It was a complicated process, and that's what the Founding Fathers intended. People with legitimate but conflicting priorities came together and decided how to spend limited resources. There was honest conflict, and then there was compromise.